Imagine a young girl who felt lost in a world that seemed colder and lonelier by the day. Alice was an ordinary girl, but with a heavy heart that few her age could understand. From a very young age, she felt a growing emptiness inside her, a sense that something was missing, but she didn't know exactly what. Her parents, always busy with work, did their best to make sure Alice had everything she needed: nice clothes, new toys, a comfortable home. But what she really longed for was something money couldn't buy: a true connection, a bond that could fill the empty space inside her. At school, Alice didn't feel different from the other kids, but something inside her kept her distant. She watched her classmates playing and laughing together, but never felt comfortable enough to join them. It wasn't for lack of desire, she just didn't know how. The fear of being rejected or not being understood made her hold back. And so day after day, Alice returned home, feeling even more isolated. Her days were monotonous and predictable. She would wake up, go to school, come back home, and spend the afternoons alone in her room. Her parents always came home late, and the few conversations they had were brief and superficial. Alice wished someone would notice her sadness, that someone would realize how much she needed a true friendship, but no one seemed to see what she was going through. One autumn afternoon, as the cold wind began to blow through the city streets, Alice decided to go for a walk. It was an unexpected impulse, something she didn't do often. The sky was grey, and dry leaves danced on the ground, creating a soft sound under her feet. Alice walked aimlessly, just wanting to get away from the walls that seemed to suffocate her. She followed familiar streets, but this time decided to explore a little more. With every corner she turned, the world seemed to change, becoming a little more unfamiliar. It was as if she was searching for something, even though she didn't know what it was. Perhaps it was an attempt to escape the monotony her life had become, or perhaps, deep down, she knew that day would bring something different. After walking for some time, Alice found herself in a small park she didn't usually visit. It was a simple place, with a few scattered trees, a worn-out wooden bench, and a fountain that no longer worked. The park was empty, except for a small figure in the corner near a tree. Curious, Alice approached, and to her surprise, saw a small cat curled up, almost imperceptible among the fallen leaves. It looked thin and dirty, as if it had gone days without food or shelter. Alice's heart raced. There was something about that animal that drew her in, a silent connection she couldn't explain. The cat lifted its head and looked directly into her eyes, and in that moment, Alice felt that something had changed inside her. Without a second thought, she knelt down and reached out to the cat. It hesitated for a moment, but soon took a timid step towards her. Alice gently stroked it, feeling the rough fur beneath her fingers. She knew she couldn't leave it there, even though she didn't know how. She felt that this encounter was important, that maybe it was exactly what she had been looking for. Alice took the cat home. On the way, it curled up in her arms, as if it feared being abandoned again. When they arrived, she immediately looked for a safe and comfortable place for it. She found an old box with soft blankets and placed a bowl of warm milk beside it. The cat seemed exhausted, but there was something in its eyes that conveyed gratitude. In the days that followed, Alice devoted all her time to her new friend. She named him Leo, a simple name, but one that seemed fitting. Leo, for his part, began to adapt to his new home. He was still shy, but every day he grew closer to Alice, as if he knew he was safe there. Alice felt something different inside her. For the first time in a long while, she didn't feel alone. Taking care of Leo gave her a purpose, something to care about. She realized that by caring for him, she was, in a way, caring for herself. Leo became her constant companion, and his presence began to change the way she saw the world. The friendship between Alice and Leo grew stronger every day. Alice's life began to change in ways she had never imagined. The loneliness that had once consumed her began to fade, replaced by a new energy and determination. Alice not only felt happier, but also more confident. She began to open up more to the world around her. At school, Alice started to connect with her classmates, sharing stories about Leo and his antics. The kids, who had once seen her as a quiet and distant girl, started to take an interest in her friendship with the cat, and that opened doors to new friendships. Alice also developed a sense of responsibility she hadn't had before. Taking care of Leo meant she had to be attentive and dedicated. This taught her the importance of being reliable and committed to something bigger than herself. She learned to value small moments, like the joy of watching Leo chase after a ball or the peace of having him sleep on her lap. Over time, the bond between Alice and Leo became unbreakable. They were more than just a girl and her cat. They were companions for life. Leo was there for Alice through all her moments, both good and bad. He seemed to understand when she was sad or worried, and in those moments, he would snuggle even closer, offering the silent comfort that only he could give. Alice, in turn, did everything she could to ensure Leo was happy and healthy. She researched cat care, bought the best food, and made sure he received all the love he deserved. Taking care of Leo became an integral part of her routine, something she did with love and dedication. A year had passed since Alice found Leo in that park. She sat on her bed, watching Leo sleep peacefully beside her, and reflected on how much her life had changed. She remembered how she used to feel, so lost and alone, and compared it to the person she was now. The difference was clear. Alice realized that the transformation in her life wasn't just about finding a friend in Leo, but about discovering something within herself. She found the ability to love and be loved, the strength to face her fears, and the courage to open up to the world. Leo not only transformed Alice's life, but also influenced those around her. Her parents, who had once been so busy, began to notice the changes in their daughter. They saw how much happier and more engaged with the world Alice had become. This made them rethink their priorities and spend more time with her. Leo's presence in the house also brought a new family dynamic. He became the center of attention, and the joy he brought was contagious. The dinner table conversations, once scarce, were now filled with laughter and stories about Leo's antics. As time passed, Alice began to think about the future with optimism. She felt more prepared to face life's challenges, knowing she would always have Leo by her side. The confidence she gained from taking care of him reflected in other areas of her life. At school, she began to excel, both academically and socially. Alice also discovered a new passion, helping animals. Her experience with Leo awakened in her a deep love for all living beings. She started volunteering at a local animal shelter, helping other cats and dogs who, like Leo, needed a home. Working at the animal shelter brought a new mission to Alice's life. She didn't just help the animals, but also educated people about the importance of caring for and respecting living beings. Her story with Leo became an inspiration for others, showing that love and compassion can transform lives. Alice began organizing adoption campaigns and sharing her story at community events. Her determination to make a difference was contagious, and soon she became a well-known figure in her town for her work with animals. Leo grew old alongside Alice, and together they created a life filled with love and purpose. He was no longer the timid and scared kitten Alice had found in that park, but a confident and loved cat. And even when he no longer had the same energy as before, the bond between the two remained unbreakable. When Leo finally passed, Alice felt an immense void, but also a deep gratitude for everything he had brought into her life. He had been the catalyst for a transformation that changed not only Alice's life, but the lives of everyone around her. After Leo's passing, Alice continued her mission to help animals. She founded an NGO dedicated to rescuing and rehabilitating abandoned animals, where she continued to spread the message of love and compassion she had learned from Leo. The NGO grew quickly, and soon Alice was helping animals not only in her town, but across the country. The story of Alice and Leo became a legend, inspiring many to adopt animals and to cherish the small things in life. Alice never forgot the impact Leo had on her life and always remembered him with a smile and a deep sense of peace. Leo wasn't just a pet, he was a friend, a mentor, and a true companion. Leo's legacy lived on through Alice and all the lives she touched with her work. She continued to share her story, always reminding people that sometimes what we need to change our lives can come from the most unexpected places. And in every new life she helped save, she saw a little piece of Leo, always present in her heart.